نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون اللهم انفعني بما علمتني وعلمني ما ينفعني رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم Alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, every week we have this session of Q&A. Brothers and sisters, they ask questions and we try our best to reply to their questions in the light of Quran and Hadith. This week also brothers and sisters have asked some questions. The foremost question in today's session is, if the baby has impurity in their nappy and crawls onto the prayer mat, is the prayer still valid? Well, if the impurity is in the nappy and it hasn't come out and the child sat on the prayer mat, that's fine. But if the impurity was outside the nappy and he sat on the prayer mat and he stayed on the prayer mat, then the prayer mat will become najis, impure. What is the ruling of having clothing beneath the ankles? Is it fard or is it disliked? Well, overlapping your ankles, it's a major sin. Whether some people, when they stand in the prayer, they just roll their trouser and uncover the ankles. And when they're not in the prayer, they just overlap their ankles. Remember, it is a big sin. It's a major sin, not a minor sin, a major sin. Whether one covers his ankle in the prayer or outside the prayer, it's a sin. So just yesterday somebody asked me this question, sent me a message, and I told him the same, that it's a major sin. We just to make ourselves look good in front of people, we are committing a sin. We are pleasing people, or just for our own desires, we are displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does Imam Sahab reads in Namaz-e-Janazah? What should people behind Imam Sahab should read? Well, in the Namaz-e-Janazah, there are 4 takbirats. And after first takbir, the sana, Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa tabaraka ismuka, which you read in the prayer, will be read by the Imam and by the Muqtadis who are behind him. And after the second takbir, the Durood Ibrahimi, which we read in our prayer, will be read by the Imam and by the Muqtadis. And after the third takbir, the Imam and the people who are behind him will read the dua for the mayyit, Allahumma fil hayyina wa mayyitina, to the end. And if it is a child, boy, infant, then it will be a dua for a child, Allahumma ij'alhu lana farata waj'alhu lana ajran wa zukhra. And if it's a baby girl, then it will be Allahumma ij'alha lana farada. So, and after the fourth takbir, the Imam will not read anything, no, the Muqtadi will read anything, the Imam will give the salam. Can you please give knowledge when first masjid was built in Leeds? And please give us a history of a spread of deen through masajid in the UK. Well, according to my information and knowledge, in Leeds in 1953, the Muslims started settling in Leeds. And then in 1958, the Leapwood Street, the house was bought and it was converted to the masjid in 1958. And in the UK, they say in the 18th century, the Muslims, particularly the sailors who used to work on the ships, they settled here. And then gradually Muslims started arriving to UK and they began to reside in different cities, and in each city and town, and they had the fikr. And alhamdulillah, with the fikr of ulama ikram, and especially somebody asked me another question today about Hafiz Sahib. Hafiz Patel Sahib. They're saying, can you please give us some details or sacrifice of Hafiz Patel Sahib for deen? Hafiz Sahib was Hafiz Sahib. Hafiz Patel Sahib was Hafiz Patel Sahib. They say that he was the first personality, first Hafiz to come to the UK. He came in the UK in 1956. And he was, when he came to Nuneaton and he was there. And then 1 or 2, 3 years after, somebody from Dewsbury, they found that there's Hafiz there. So they brought Hafiz Patel Sahib to Dewsbury. And Hafiz Patel Sahib used to do Imamat. And along with this, Hafiz Sahib had this fikr for the Ummah. And he used to go alone to people's houses. And he used to do the gasht and knock on people's doors. And he used to call people to masjid for the prayers. And then gradually this da'wah work started spreading, and formally this tablighi work took place in the UK in 1966. And after that, all the ijtimaat happened in Dewsbury. And Hafiz Sahib, once he went to for Hajj, and over there he met Maulana Yusuf Kandalvi rahmatullahi, the son of Maulana Riaz rahmatullahi. And Maulana Yusuf Kandalvi met him and told Hafiz Sahib, you go back to England and make London like Makkah and Medina, meaning the Mahal. And then Hafiz Sahib, although before that he was making his effort, but since Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Kandalvi rahmatullahi told him, instructed him, go back and make the London like Makkah Medina, then he came back and he did more effort, and he worked. And Hafiz Sahib, he had such a fikr for the Muslim Ummah, not only for Muslim Ummah but for the whole humanity. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is mentioned about Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that kana daim al fikr. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had this continuous fikr. All the time, he had this worry, concern in his heart. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you read the biography of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will find that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had this concern, this fikr all the time, daimal fikr all the time, in his mind was, the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how I can bring them close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Hafiz Sahib, mashallah, he was one of the saints, he was an aqtab, one of the aqtab, meaning the qutub. They say, there are ranks in the pious people. He was one of them. And he worked so hard, alhamdulillah. Look at the mahal of Dewsbury, not only Dewsbury, it's his efforts and his concern and his fikr, it spread through the whole UK. And Hafiz Sahib, he, most of the time he used to be abroad, just for the, he had this fikr for the ummah. And, we should make a dua for Hafiz Sahib. We should do Isalis dua for Hafiz Sahib, because of his mehnats and his efforts. Our elders, they came close to Deen, and then the generation also, were on Deen. And had these personalities not worked hard, we never know what would be the whole of UK. But alhamdulillah, these personalities, he came here, he worked here, and our Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Mutar rahmatullah alayh, in 1975, he opened his Darul. So these two personalities, they worked hard for the Ummah, and today, mashallah, look at the mahal of UK, in every city, in every town, we find huge mosques and madaris, Darul everywhere, Darul in Dewsbury, Darul Bury, Darul Bradford, Leicester, Blackburn. So these are the efforts of these elderly personalities. And Hafiz Sahib, mashallah, he was, Hafiz Sahib, he was such a personality that, he was close to everyone. This is the, whosoever he met, every person thought, I'm in the Hafiz Sahib's, I'm very close to Hafiz Sahib, and Hafiz Sahib really loves me. This is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And alhamdulillah, Hafiz Sahib, these personalities, they make dua for the whole ummah. They make dua for the whole ummah. But Hafiz Sahib, he came many times to Leeds. And one thing sometimes when I remember, I consider myself so lucky that once I can remember Hafiz Sahib came here in this masjid, and after his bayan, he was standing there in the middle there, and people were meeting him, and I met him, and he said to me, Maulana Riaz Sahib, मैं आपका नाम लेकर आपके लिए दुआएं करता हूँ. So then, since then, not only that, through Hamara Amir Sahib, he used to send so many times, he used to send, itar and rumals for me. And, sometimes when I think, how much shafqat, these personalities had for people like us. And, we make a dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate his rank in paradise. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on behalf of the people of UK, Allah give him jazaa khair, the work he did. And I always say, he was the true well-wisher for everyone. And then all those who are working, who are calling people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are connecting people with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should be, as I said in my previous dars, that we should be thankful to these people. We should be thankful to these people who are calling us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are calling us to the masjid, who are connecting us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because outside there are people who are connecting us with shaitan, but these people are connecting us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given some people tawfiq, and they are going around, they're calling us, and they bring us close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're saying why we have different start dates for start and end of Ramadan in UK. Well, it's not only in UK, it's nearly everywhere. So, we have, everyone have their own criteria for the beginning and for the end of Ramadan. We here at Islamic Center, we follow the criteria of Saudi. We on the basis of the Riyadh of Saudi Arabia, we before we do our Ramadan, we begin our Ramadan and we do Eid. But we will say, we do not, say so and so are wrong and we are right. Whichever group you follow, you just follow them, and don't criticize anyone, and don't say they are wrong and we are right. Some say we follow Morocco, some say we follow Saudi. They are both right. So it's up to you to follow, whichever masjid you are, with. So just go with them and do your Eid with your masjid and your Ramadan. They're saying, are Muslim women allowed to take driving lesson from male instructor? Not at all. A woman taking lessons from a male instructor is not allowed. And they're saying, is a woman allowed to drive? Well, the ulama, the mufti and Ikram said, yes, it's jaiz, permissible for her to do the driving. Can we eat halal chicken and lamb which are not HMC? They are doubtful. You should go to the shops which are HMC and buy from them. Because if there is a bunch of 100 chicken and one could be, is doubtful because, they do stunning and in, duration of this process, some chicken they die. And when they have the 100 chicken or 200 chicken, in those chicken there are 1 or 2 chicken which were dead. So it makes the whole bunch of those chicken, doubtful. So we should buy from the shop which are HMC. Are we allowed to do tasbihat and zikr silently while sitting in the bayan? Well, if the mentality, the mind and our brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you're sitting in a bayan and you're doing your own zikr, so you won't able to focus on the bayan. So the ulama, they say it's best that you postpone your zikr, and just if you're sitting in the bayan, listen to the bayan and then you do your zikr later on. And do parents get reward when their children do any good deeds? Yes. Once a Prophet ﷺ was approached by a woman, and it was Hajj time, and she had a small child with her, and she said, "O Prophet of Allah, I'm taking him for Hajj, and he's going to do Hajj. Am I going to get reward? Is he going to get reward?" He said, "Yes, he will do the Hajj. You will, as a parent, you will get the reward." So make sure when you guide your children, and they will do the good deeds, you will get the reward. And our Prophet ﷺ, in the hadith, he says that there are 4 deeds, they continue even after one's death. One of them, waladin salihin yad'ula. A parents, they left a pious son behind, and he makes a dua for them. And whatever he will be doing, the good deeds, the parents will receive the reward in their grave. So we should make sure that we should train our children, and we should work hard on our children as well. As we are working on our own selves, we should be working on our children as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Save yourself from the hellfire and also your family. And does COVID vaccine change our DNA or having anything haram in it? This is all nonsense. WhatsApp and this and that, this is going to change our DNA, this and that. This is all nonsense. Don't pay any attention to that. And it doesn't contain anything haram. It's jaiz, permissible. People are dying there. And if it has some side effects, you tell me, someone is dying, And we need to save his life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "La tulku bi aydikum ila tahluka." Don't put yourself in a danger. Some people, I don't know what the mentality is, this is not jais, this is haram, this is that, and you change our DNA. This is all nonsense. Don't pay any attention to these things at all, on the WhatsApp and this and that. Go for it. If they give you the date to have the vaccine, go and have the vaccine. Don't delay it. To save lives, it's fard. I think that's it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our sitting here. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Mohammed wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.